Tomorrow marks the one-year anniversary since the deadly Navy Yard shooting. The gunman, a defense contract employee, killed 12 people at the Navy Yard September 16th. Police later shot and killed him. Two ceremonies will be held tomorrow. The Navy holding one at 8 in the morning at the Navy Yard. You can watch that live right here on Fox 5. D.C. leaders will hold another ceremony at 6 o'clock tomorrow evening at a nearby park. One of the victims killed in the shooting spree was a woman from Woodbridge named Kathy Gaarde.
That's right. Fox 5's Holly Moore spent some time with Kathy's family and shows us how they're coping with her loss.
Here you go.
All right, wow. So this is how you spend your days?
Yep. This is a 73.
An engineer by training, it's no surprise Doug Gaarde's favorite hobby has to do with putting things back together.
Put the engine in it.
But little did he know that restoring cars would also be his refuge.
It's where I go when I need to think of, something other than what happened.
September 16th, 2013. It was like any other Monday.
What I do on a daily basis is I consult from home, so I have an office downstairs. Well, I go downstairs and I work on the computer, and I have the radio on in the background.
Now, breaking news from WTOP.
Well, there's been a shooting at the D.C. Navy Yard.
Shortly after 8 o'clock, the radio said, there was an incident at the Navy Yard and there was a shooting going on.
The news reports piqued Doug's interest, but didn't really worry him, even though the Navy Yard is where his wife Kathy worked.
Okay, we have a EMT officer down on the third floor.
DC police now telling us 4 people were shot.
Copy. Unit be advised, the armed shooter is possibly on top of building 197.
As it became evident that there was, it was a major event, not a minor event, I sent her an email saying, "Are you okay?"
He never got a response. In fact, he never heard from her all day. So he drove to National Stadium where Navy Yard employees were being reunited with their families.
And as the buses were winding down, although I kept asking the official people that were there, telling her I was concerned, I did receive a call from one of her co-workers who had talked to another of her co-workers that was actually there when she passed away. And then after that, it becomes kind of a blur.
It's clearly been a difficult year.
Yes, it has.
1 year later, the calendar in Doug's home remains unchanged. The cuckoo clock downstairs, silent.
One of the things that happened that morning of the shooting, I had a conference call, and I had stopped our cuckoo clock right at 9 o'clock so I could have the call, and I have not started the clock since then.
He has, however, made a video. To celebrate what would have been he and Kathy's 39th wedding anniversary.
I still watch that probably a couple times a week. It's a good way to remember her. It's the way I want to remember her.
Did this about 2 years ago.
But Doug's biggest help in healing comes from his daughter.
I can't imagine having gone through the past year without having her here.
After the tragedy, Jessica moved home, and though she is her dad's caretaker, truth be told, he's very much taking care of her, too.
Then life is getting somewhat easier to deal with everything, but still you catch yourself and you're okay, and then just you remember that she's gone and sinking feeling all over again.
Both Doug and Jessica say there's no understanding the why, but with amazing perspective, they are able to reflect on what it was and is like for them to face the unthinkable.
We had far more help and recognition that we needed help than most people will ever get. Both the Secretary of Defense and the President and Mrs. Obama came by and expressed their condolences personally.
Did that mean a lot to you?
It did. I have a particular picture of Jessica with Mrs. Obama that I think showed me that she had really helped her.
But I thought that she would go off to work and never come home. So we can tell ourselves, don't take things for granted, but it's what we do. And if we were always worried about losing something, then I wonder if we would even truly live.
Before you would listen to the news, you would hear of major events, whether it was a shooting or a flood or a hurricane or something, and you hear the death toll and stuff, and it's, you understand it, but over the past year, every time I hear that now, it makes it an awful lot more personal. That you think for every one of those persons that they're talking about, there's a family that is or is going to go through what we've gone through.
A tragic bond and thought that often drives Doug back to his garage, to a safe haven of things he can't fix.
It's hard to see where I'll be in a year or two from now, other than maybe in the garage working on this. That may be the constant in my life.
Certainly kind of Doug to speak with us. And one of the points that he made to Holly was that it always bothers him when those of us in the media use the shooter's actual name and just call the people who were killed the 12 victims.
So we want to change that. Tonight, we are remembering and naming all of the victims. Kenneth Proctor, Sylvia Frazier, Vishnu Pandit, Mary Frances Knight, Martin Bodrog, Kathy Gaarde, John Roger Johnson, Frank Kohler, Richard Rigel, Michael Arnold, Gerald Reed, and Arthur Daniels.